Does the CIA make people disappear? CIA spy reveals a lock-in chat.
Does the CIA listen through our phones and laptop cameras? Yes. I hate to say it. They can,
This conspiracy theorists were right. I've always been a conspiracy theorist. Every conspiracy theorist have always been like, they're listening to you through your phone, and they are. If you've ever, like, I had this experience with my friend a couple of years ago. We were talking about burgers, and we were talking about how good a Burger King burger was. And we were just talking about burgers for so long. And we go into, like, our school administered laptops, and both of us got burger ads.
take over your smart television and turn the speaker into a microphone so that they can listen to what's being said in the room even when the TV is turned off.
That is insane. Wow. No, but here's the question that I have. Are they doing it, or can they do it? Like, when a lot of people think about CIA spy, and they have this as spies, and they have this in a lot of movies, is that, like, they have, like, files on you, and you can go into their, like, your file and see everything you've ever said. And I don't think so. I think they have, like, if you're, like, on like, not a watch list, but, like, if you committed a felony in the past, then they might be listening to you. If you've done anything like that, then they might be listening to you. But anything like that, yeah, I feel like they would. But I feel like the average human, they don't just have, like, 400 million files on every single American. You know what I mean?
Hello, I'm John Kiriakou. I'm a former CIA counterterrorism officer and former senior investigator for the U.S. Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, and I'm here today to answer questions from the Honesty Box.
All right, let's hear it.
The first one is, what did the CIA actually do?
So many different things. The CIA has been operating since, like, I don't know. But they've probably been operating since, like, the 1910s, and they've done so much shit. It's, like, wild. I don't even think you can list all of it.
Are several answers to that question. What the CIA is supposed to do, what it is legally tasked with doing, is very simply to recruit spies, to steal secrets, and then to analyze those secrets, to give the president and other senior policymakers the best information with which they can make policy. Now, in real life, it's not that simple. The CIA does whatever the president tells it to do. That could be to overthrow foreign governments.
Which it should not be, because, yes, a government is elected democratically, but I feel like you should also, organizations should be separate from the president. Like, it's so hard, because, like, people elect what they see on TV. You'll never have a one-on-one talk with Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. You'll never have a one-on-one talk with them, so you only ever see what you see on TV. So it's really hard to know what you're voting for, which I think, like, or what they're gonna do, or what they're gonna talk about the CIA, what they're gonna do, especially with classified, like, missions and stuff like that. So you have no idea what they're actually gonna do because it's all classified. So I feel like corporations like the CIA and the FBI should be separate from the president, because you never know what you're actually electing it as when it comes to classification.
Classified it could be to implement covert action programs, to influence the foreign media, to even kill people. It just depends on who the president is and what policy he wants to implement. What skills make a good agent? You might be surprised by the answer, actually.
I will be surprised at the answer. This guy, or not this guy, but a CIA operative was asked the question, why don't you recruit Rainbow, and would he be a good CIA operator? And he was trying to be as vague about it as possible, but also, like, try and give a good answer. I'm not gonna spoil it because I think he mentions it here, but he was like, oh yeah, he would be good, but he's like, he would be like a junior officer, and that kind of scared me.
The CIA, when it recruits spies, when it recruits operations officers, doesn't necessarily look for the big buff guy who works out, every day or 6 days a week. They look for people who have sociopathic tendencies, not sociopaths. Sociopaths are impossible to control because they have no conscience. They blow right through a polygraph exam, but they won't take orders. People who have sociopathic tendencies.
That makes sense, because if you want sociopathic tendencies, you want to be able to kill someone without being asked. You want to be more robotic than the regular human. But you don't want to be sociopaths, because psychopaths will do whatever they want because they don't care about anything. Which does make a lot of sense, actually, why he's saying that.
Do react to a polygraph. They do experience regret or remorse. They will respond to directives and orders. I'll give you an example. When I first was recruited by the CIA, I was asked in a group of new hires what we would do if we got a cable from CIA headquarters ordering us to collect information on the Indonesian economy. You recruit the Indonesian economic secretary, you make him your best friend, you spend money on him, your wives become friends, you vacation together, but you learn that he is just not recruitable. So what do? Well, one of my colleagues said, you double down, work the case another 6 months, and hope for the best. A second colleague said, maybe you work it through your wives, maybe your wife can convince his wife to give you the information. I raised my hand and I said, you break into the Indonesian embassy and you steal it. And the instructor said, that's exactly what you do. That's a sociopathic tendency. What's the coolest piece of spy tech you ever got to use?
An underwater car. James Bond.
You know, there's kind of a dirty little secret about spy tech, and it is that 95% of it is purchased from Amazon.com.
Yeah.
Seriously. Because it is cheaper and it is quicker just to go online and buy it and then use it operationally than it is to invent it from scratch.
The coolest. That's like, because when you watch James Bond, and I don't want to compare it to a movie, compare like the CIA to a movie, but when you watch James Bond, it's like you see Q. If you don't know what James Bond is, he's a spy, but he works for Britain, and there's basically like this whole lab that they have run by this guy named Q, and it's like this whole underground lab system that's run by this guy, and he just makes fucking spy tech. That's all he does. And like he'll just spend like millions and millions and millions of dollars on all their different operatives, because it's not just 007 and James Bond. They have to go like all through the 00s. They have to go, all of those are spending millions and millions of dollars on, when you could just like not give him an underwater car. He could swim, and you would save $1 million. You could put that elsewhere. You could put that in trade. You could put that into ruining their economy, and not just give a single guy. I mean, James Bond is a pretty big dude, and not like physically, but like a very important guy, because he's very powerful and like very smart and very like important main character. But also it's like, why don't you just give him less, save more, spend more on the ruining the other country's economy that you're already trying to ruin.
Piece of spy tech that I ever used was, it was a leather briefcase. I just went into the local marketplace in Pakistan and bought it. I think it cost the equivalent of like $10. And over the course of 3 days, one of our technical officers pulled the threads out of it, installed a wire all the way around the briefcase, which could act as a listening device, and then packed the area around the wire with these little teeny tiny batteries that I had never seen before. And then he sewed the whole thing close again.
Wow.
So
see, like that's what Q does. But he's saying that they get them from Amazon a lot. But I'm saying like Q from James Bond, he like builds all that shit from scratch 24/7, and it's way more complicated than that. Like, he has a pen that kills someone, that just kills someone. That's what I remember from like the most recent James Bond movie I watched.
I walked into a meeting with my little briefcase. The bad guy took the briefcase from me, opened it up, looked through it. It didn't have anything in it because it was all sewn into the lining. And we sat there and had the meeting while my colleagues half a mile away were able to listen to the entire thing. It was
like, you think this is clever? Look at old World War II shit that was directed by Ian Fleming, like Operation Dead Meat or Operation. What was that called? Fuck, I forget. It was like one of the CIA operations, and I'm not even gonna get into it because I can spend fucking 45 minutes on this.
Very cool. Does the CIA listen through our phones and laptop cameras? Yes. I hate to say it. There was a dramatic leak in 2017.
He's gonna be like, yeah, we can. We don't keep a file on everybody. We just keep a file on, like, known criminals and, like, people that we want to keep on a watch list. Not political speakers, fucking, like protesters, maybe, like, anarchists that you would keep an eye on. Not saying anarchy is bad. People think anarchy is bad. The government thinks anarchy is bad, and anarchy is bad for the government. Anarchy is not terrorism. Anarchy is not libertarianism. Anarchy is not abnormal egotism. And anarchy is not chaos.
That the CIA came to call the Vault 7 disclosures. Gigabytes worth of documents leaked by a CIA...
Gigabytes is nothing. I have 1.2 terabytes on my fucking PC.
Technology engineer. What he told us was that the CIA can intercept anything from anyone, number one. Number two, they can remotely take control of your car through the car's embedded computer. To do what? To make you drive off a bridge, into a tree, to make you kill yourself.
That is fucking insane. What? That is insane. So, like, holy shit. And he's just like, that was like, that's just popular information that the CIA can just take control of your car, make you drive into a fucking, oh my god, I just ate the spiciest jalapeno in my life. Ah! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Okay. Oh. Anyways, like they can just make you kill yourself, and a lot of people are just like, oh, he probably just actually did. Like, he's just admitting that they can make you kill yourself and make it look like a fucking accident. That is insane.
And make it look like an accident. They can take over your smart television and turn the speaker into a microphone so that they can listen to what's being said in the room even when the TV is turned off. God knows what else that they can do that hasn't been leaked. Are hitmen real?
And he knows. He knows everything. That smile, that's how we know. He's probably fucking listening to, of course he's fucking listening to me right now. I'm live on Twitch, but, like, he's probably listening to me. CIA is probably listening to me through my fucking TV, my phone, my Switch, my fucking monitor, my PC, my other phone. No, I don't have another phone. I only have one phone. My Nintendo DS, probably. I don't know. My AirPods, definitely. But it's like, yeah, he knows. He just can't say because it's not leaked yet. Are hitmen real? Yes.
Yes. At the National Security Council, there is a committee that meets every Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock to draw up something called the kill list. They sit around a table and they make a list of all the people that they want to kill that week. And then they take it back to the CIA, which has a dedicated unit. I won't tell you the name, but it has a dedicated unit that takes receipt of the list. They say, okay, number one. They drive to the airport, they get on the plane, they go out to that country, they kill the person, they come back, and then they go to number 2 on the list.
That happens
insane. Every single week. Now,
wow.
We can have a conversation about whether that's right or whether it's wrong. It's certainly immoral. It's illegal, but it's been tasked by the president. At the same time, they will tell you there hasn't been another 9/11, has there? Maybe it's because we're out there killing people.
What kind of people would be on that list?
Oh, the most dangerous terrorists in the world. Or at least people that the CIA deems to be the most dangerous terrorists in the world.
Okay,
How does the CIA recruit spies and...
That's not terrible. I could see, like, people thinking that's bad, and it is bad in a way, but it's also good in a way because they can prevent more. Not gonna get into the 9/11 was an inside job. $2.1 trillion went missing in the World Trade Center the day before 9/11. Not gonna go into that, but I'm saying it's good to prevent it before it happens. I get what they mean. I get the point.
Foreign countries. That cuts right to the very heart of what the CIA is. The CIA trains its officers in something called the asset acquisition cycle. It has 4 steps: spot, assess, develop, recruit. So let's say you're a brand new CIA officer overseas. You get out there and mingle and go to diplomatic cocktail parties or go anywhere where there might be a viable target for you. You spot the target, you go up. Hi, how are you? I'm the new officer at the American Embassy. I'm covering political affairs or economic affairs or trade or whatever it is you're doing. You exchange business cards. That's spotting. Assessing is I say, so what do you do for a living? If you tell me that you do something that I'm operationally interested in, that's my assessment of you. Then I develop you. That's actually the fun part. That is us going to lunch and going to dinner, and I spend money on you because I have literally an unlimited budget to do so.
Yeah, real
and
shit.
maybe we go on vacation together, and our wives are friends, and you mention offhandedly that you like to go fishing, let's say, so I charter a boat for $4,000 and I take you deep sea fishing because you could never afford to do it on your own. And then we become best friends. And because we're best friends, I say to you, hey, would you do me a favor? I'm sorry to ask, but the Russians have this new tank, and I know that you guys have access to the plans, and I would really appreciate it if you could just make me a copy of those plans. I know that sounds kind of funny, but it would help me a lot. So, hey, thanks, I appreciate it. I'll pick them up tonight. And then
Damn.
maybe I start giving you a little bit of money. And then finally, when it comes to the recruitment, I say, I haven't been totally honest with you. I'm actually a CIA officer, undercover. Are you okay with that? You're a great guy, and you're my best friend, and how about if I give you $5,000 a month, and you just answer my questions, right? That's cool, right? And you undoubtedly will say yes, and the rest is history.
That is such a great idea. That is such a great plan, not gonna lie. Oh my god. I can imagine. That would work on me. That would work on any of you. That would work on anybody I know. I don't think anybody has a strong enough, sense of badness to know that anything's going wrong in that sense.
Got to be a good actor to do that. Pull that off. Yeah.
And a sociopath. Do you ever fear for your life? Not now, but over the course of my career, I did several times. And I'll give you one example. There were 2 active assassination attempts against me.
God damn, this is like Chadwick over here. God damn. That is such a good thing to put under your belt. There were 2 assassination attempts put on me, and I survived both of them.
In one, I just got lucky. And unfortunately, my next door neighbor was killed instead. He was the British Defense.
Holy shit. Holy shit. That is insane. Imagine, you wake up one day, your next door neighbor's dead. He's just dead. And then you're like, okay, well, he's probably assassinated. And you check, you go to, CIA intelligence. And they're like, oh, yeah, we have papers here showing that they meant to kill you, but they killed your next... That is insane. Oh, my God. Imagine being the guy that's going to assassinate him. And he, you come back to your guy, you're like, yeah, I did it. I assassinated the dude. And then they're like... They look on the news. It's just the British defense attaché in Athens. Oh my god! And it's not the guy you meant to kill. It's his next door neighbor.
Attaché in Athens, Brigadier General Stephen Saunders. I think about it every single day. In another, an enemy country sent one of its officers and a double agent to kill me, but we had advance warning that it was going to happen, and we were able to neutralize the threat, as they say in the movies.
Murder him.
But there was another experience that I had that troubled me deeply. I was serving in Pakistan at the time, and I was staying in a small guest house because it was safer than a big hotel. Sure enough, the big hotel was blown up and 45 people were killed while I was living there. But I left my guest house at a different time, like I did every day, and took a different route, like I did every day, to go to work. And I noticed that a man on a motorcycle wearing a red helmet was trying very hard to stay in my blind spot. I worked 12, 14 hours, whatever it was that day, and I left, and it was dark, and sure enough, there he was again. There's a definition of surveillance. It's multiple sightings at time and distance. So I've seen him multiple times, at different times of the day and at different places. I'm definitely under surveillance. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, got in the car, drove a block, there he was again. So when I got to the office, I said to the security officer, I am under surveillance. I'm 100% sure that I'm under surveillance. He said, well, let's wait until the chief comes in. When the chief finally came in, I told him the story, and he said, well, you know what you have to do. I said, I know. I'm gonna kill him if I see him this afternoon. I was
Oh my god. That is insane. You have an infinite defense budget. You're completely covered by all of America. You can kill whoever you want. This is Chadwick Boseman right here. This is... No, not Chadwick Boseman. This is Chadwick. Oh my god, this guy's a badass.
worried about it all day. And all my coworkers came up to me that day to slap me on the back and say, don't worry, we're all gonna be out there. We're gonna have a whole security team. I said, I know, but I never killed anybody before, and I'm so worried that he's gonna kill me before I get a clear shot at him. That afternoon, I had a meeting at a safe house that we shared with the local service. And on my way out at the end of the meeting, and I don't know why I did this, but I turned around and I said, General, are you following me? And he said, no, why? And I said, because I'm under surveillance, and if I see this guy again, I'm gonna kill him. And I never saw him again.
Oh,
I learned later
my God.
that several of their officers were sitting around and saying, you know, that new American guy, he's such a nice guy. Nobody's that nice. I wonder if he's being nice just to try to make us drop our guard. And they decided to put the worst surveillance officer in their entire intelligence service on me. And if I hadn't said something that afternoon, he would be in the ground today. Does Trump have the...
Not even like I would be in the ground today. He would be in the ground today. Holy shit. God damn.
UK and Europe's back? No.
Ooh.
He doesn't. When we hear from journalists or political figures that Donald Trump doesn't like the Europeans, he doesn't like NATO, he doesn't like the European Union, we should take the man at his word.
Damn.
I don't think he does have Europe's back, or even the UK.
That is a bad thing. That is a really bad thing, actually. You can love or hate Trump, but you have to recognize that community and, like, combinations of nations, especially free nations, which is all of fucking NATO. And all of NATO is, like, European, Canada, America, which all have... Europe, Canada, America, which all have freedom. And so, you really want a combination of free countries that have good laws, because if somebody attacks those countries and then you have that shared contract with them almost, you can sort of attack that country in retaliation, so it brings a sort of worldwide dominance. Even if you don't want to become the same country, you could still have like a peace treaty and even like a protection treaty that is NATO. And Trump choosing not to partner with Canada and the rest of NATO, and America's almost leaving NATO soon, is really bad for NATO and America, because America, if fucking China and Russia both attacked America, it's losing. It is losing. America lost to a fucking hippies in the ground in Vietnam. They are not winning against fucking China and Russia. They are getting swept. 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 Push. Swept. Swept. They're getting swept. And it's like, if they had NATO, they would help them. They would be a... NATO against Russia and China, that would not even be a fair fight. NATO claps them. But, like... It's just so terrible for everyone. And then if somebody, like Russia and China, then attack NATO without America, NATO probably loses because they don't have America and they're a giant superpower.
Pays back. When he says America first, he means America first, whatever that means. He has an idea in his own mind, but I don't think he cares one whit about Europe. Which film or TV series portrays spy work the most
James Bond? No, I'm just kidding. It's not going to be James Bond.
accurately? Great question. I will tell you that at the CIA, we watch every single spy movie and spy.
That's what I would do. Oh my god, that's so what I would do. So I have a cousin. He's in, well, I live in Canada. And he's in something called the Canadian, he's something called the Vancouver Canadian Air Canucks. Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver Air Cadets. And he's like, he goes on like a bunch of camps, he like survives in the wilderness, and he's basically part of the military, except for he's just like younger. And he's 16, 17, 15, I can't remember. Anyways, they like always watch fucking war movies when he's like on duty. It's so funny. It's like that's what I would do if I was ever in a field. I would watch all the movies about that field.
Series. All of us do. I'm proud to say that I have been the script advisor on The Bourne Ultimatum,
Damn.
on Kill the Messenger, on True Lies, and on Burn Notice. We love this kind
I fucking love Burn Notice. Burn Notice mention. I love that show. Michael Burnham, Yogurt. That's how I started liking Yogurt. The girl in that show is so bad. Oh my god, dude. I love the Burn Notice. All 6 seasons. 6 seasons? That is insane. He was a script advisor. That's so cool.
thing. Most of them have nothing whatsoever to do with the reality of the CIA, except a couple. In terms of TV, Homeland, wow, they got it right. The only thing that they got wrong was if you go crazy, they send you to the hospital until you're not crazy anymore. In movies, there was a movie that came out in 2004 called The Recruit. The first half of the movie, where the lead character is going through training, 100% accurate, except for one minor difference. They didn't beat us in training. Everything else that he went through, whew, we went through it in spades. Most other movies, stinkers. And listen, just as a general rule, if somebody calls the CIA the company, turn it off. Is
Yeah.
social media the biggest intelligence gathering tool today? It is absolutely one of them, yes.
I can imagine.
You know,
A worldwide net. It's the biggest intelligence gathering of anybody in the world, not just the CIA. We gather intelligence. Everybody gathers intelligence. The CIA gathers intelligence of, like, specific things in like your life, but we gather intelligence about what other people are doing, about new memes. We got new brain rot. We got new what people are doing. You see pictures, so we're gathering that information. And you could say it's one of the biggest, it's not for me, not even close, one of the biggest information gatherers in people's lives. And it really is when people, all they do all day is just scroll on their phone. And I know a couple people like that. I have a bunch of mutual friends. I'm not actually friends with any of them, but a couple of mutual friends, which all they do, they don't have any hobbies except for like a couple sports, maybe like one or two, and they just scroll on their phone. I stream, I play sports, I read, I fucking play video games lots. I play video games lots. I play video games on stream. I'll watch TV sometimes. I'll play board games. I'll play games with my mom. I'll go hang out at a friend's house. I'll have friends here. I'll throw parties. I'm sure I'm forgetting shit ton of them. I'll play board games. I'll play D&D. I'm a big D&D guy. Magic the Gathering sometimes. But yeah, people have a lot of different hobbies, but a lot of people, their whole life is like volleyball, school, and scrolling on their phone. How are you not like satisfied with life? I stream, go to school, do my homework, read, I fucking do everything in a day, and I'm like barely satisfied with what I'm doing in a day. And it's like, I'll edit videos for an hour and a half just to post them on YouTube, and it's like, I'm still not really satisfied with what I'm doing. And it's just like, how the hell are people, whatever, I'm gonna get, like, how the hell are people doing that with their lives, and you're doing nothing. In your free time, you're doing nothing. You're doing nothing that benefits you. And it's not like playing video games, which is a hobby that doesn't benefit you. But it's also like, it doesn't benefit you, but I 100%ed Skyrim 4 times. And I'm like, I'll look back on that and be like, I had a load of fun. I've probably played Call of Duty Black Ops 1 with my cousins for over 700 hours. And I look back on those times, blasting white girl music and blasting heavy metal, and I'm like, playing Call of Duty, blasting my fucking eardrums off, and I'm like, I had some of the most fun I've ever had in my life playing Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2, playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 multiplayer, in their shop when it was freezing cold, and we would just hang out, and we'd have the best memories. And it's not like playing video games is all that, like, benefiting to you, but it's fun as shit, whereas scrolling on social media is boring as hell. You're doing nothing. You're doing nothing fun. It's not fun. It's just a time waster. And that's actually some people's lives. And I have to stop ranting. I'll do a philosophy video on this. Holy fuck.
I was always amazed when I was at the CIA at how targets, legitimate intelligence targets, would literally put their entire lives on LinkedIn and Facebook.
That's also wild. A lot of people's parents, who are like vulnerable parents, will tell their kids to be like, oh, don't put your first and last name on like YouTube or Twitch. Don't put your first and last name. They have their first and last name on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. They have it on everything, not on YouTube. They have on like Facebook, Instagram, fucking YouTube, LinkedIn. They have their whole lives. They have everything they're doing. They have their first, last, middle name, their kids' names, where they live. They have everything on fucking Facebook and Instagram. And it's like, you're having your kids' first and last names on your Instagram. So why can't it be on YouTube, where rarely anybody can see it? It's wild.
Incredible. You don't even have to do any research. They lay it all out.
It is good for me, though, because I don't do that. I can just look at somebody's life. That's it.
Right there on the screen for you. So the answer is yes. If you value your privacy, if you don't want to pop up on the radar, you have to stay away from social media.
Yeah.
What was 9/11's impact on the world? You know, I was in the CIA's headquarters on the morning of 9/11. Well, we knew we were at war. And one of the first thoughts that I had that morning was, does Osama bin Laden have any idea what he's done? Does he have any idea how many people are going to die? We all knew what the American response was going to be. It was going to be merciless. The question is, what was 9/11's impact on the world? It was dramatic and lasting. We're almost 24 years after the 9/11 attack.
And like, holy shit, the travel ban, like not travel bans, but like the way traveling on an airplane changed after 9/11 is insane. Like, you used to be able to go, you didn't even need a passport to get on some flights. You could just go there with your boarding pass and then be like, okay. They would like look through your bag, maybe like shake it, and then they just let you on the flight. Now they fucking put you through TSA, passport, boarding pass, customs, fucking papers that you need fucking everything.
And we still can't go through airports with our shoes on. Untold trillions of dollars have been spent on counterterrorism and defense, and that is probably never going to change. Why are there so many wars in 2025? Well, do you want my real answer or do you want my diplomatic answer? My real answer is the U.S. has a defense budget that is bigger than the next 8 largest countries combined. After 9/11, the U.S. entered into something like a permanent wartime economy, where if we didn't have a war...
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up, because a lot of people don't understand. Okay, war is bad. War is bad. War is bad for everyone. But the United States, especially after like 9/11, but mostly after World War II, the United States has become a war-based economy. So what that means is like they don't have really any natural resources to keep them at the top of their defense budget spendings. And like, sorry, excuse me. So they have to be in a war. They have to be in a war with Venezuela. They have to be in a war with Afghanistan. And they have to be in a war with Pakistan. Every single country that they've been in a war with, they have to, or else they lose everything. And it's like, a lot of people don't want America to go to war, and a lot of people do want them to go to war. But a lot of people don't understand, from both perspectives, is that if America, from a purely economic-based standpoint, if without changing their economy, they need to go to war because they need the oil, they need the resources, they need to steal from other countries to be at the top of their defense budget spendings. America's not the best country. The only things that they are ahead of is defense budget spending, violence in schools, and one more that I can't remember, and they're lesser than everything. They're not ahead in anything. But they're a wars-based economy, and that's
fight
definitely
and to
true.
finance, we would actually go into recession. Now, we see ourselves as the world's peacekeepers. In many cases, we're not. We tend to be places where we're not wanted or welcome, and we end up forgetting to leave. There's an old joke inside the CIA about Iran. Like, why would Iran put its country right in the middle of all of our military bases? There you have it. Why are there so many wars? It's because the U.S. has an activist foreign policy, and sometimes we make friends on the wrong side of issues. Can the CIA make someone disappear without a trace? You bet they can, and they do all the time. In the immediate aftermath of
That
the
is really scary, actually.
9/11 attacks, the CIA created, for example, an archipelago of secret prisons, and they would just disappear people. We would capture people in Al-Qaeda safe houses, for example, let's say in Pakistan or Afghanistan, and we would ship them off to these secret prisons. And when I say secret prisons, I mean in many cases they were so secret that even the presidents and prime ministers of the countries where the prisons were based didn't know that there were secret CIA prisons in their countries. So the CIA can make people disappear in that respect. They can kill people and just bury them, in some crazy foreign land and nobody would ever know. But if you're a CIA officer, or better yet, let's say you're a KGB officer and you want to defect, the CIA will give you a completely new identity, more money than you can ever count, and you and your family can live happily ever after, under the name John Smith, and nobody would be the wiser. How does the USA track terrorist threats?
That's a great question. I never really understand it. Let's see what his answer is.
Called the terrorist matrix. It's also called all-source intelligence. Believe it or not, members of terrorist groups actually give press interviews in which they telegraph what they're going to do in their next attack. That's one way, the media. Electronic surveillance. It could be intercepting cell phones, intercepting emails, intercepting encoded messages, even intercepting messages from game platforms. We have satellites that track these things. We have spies providing what's called HUMINT, short for human intelligence. So you use literally every source at your dispense and put this matrix together to try to disrupt that next attack. Can you be a spy and have a moral compass? What a great question that is.
Great question, yeah.
I'm going to say yes because I had a moral compass.
Don't
it cost
anymore.
me my freedom. It cost me my job. It cost me my family. But it was worth it. There are some things that you are tasked to do as a CIA counterintelligence officer that you just have to say no to. There are some things that are so immoral, so unethical, in many cases so illegal, that you just should not do it. What is the most controversial thing you've worked on or heard about? It has to be the torture program. I went to prison for 23 months for going public with the CIA's torture program.
Holy shit! What? That is insane. Holy shit. Oh my god. He got put in prison for... Gang, this guy is like he's actually James fucking Bond. What? He went to prison for 24 months. He's had 2 assassinations attempts on him. He's most definitely killed people. He served in both Pakistan, Iraq, and Afghanistan, he said. I think. And earlier in the video. And he's been... Oh my god.
I went on ABC News in the United States in December.
And he lost his family, his job, and his freedom.
2007, and I said 3 things. I said the CIA was torturing its prisoners. I said that torture was official U.S. government policy. And I said that the policy had been personally approved by the president himself. The FBI investigated me. They determined I had not committed a crime. Then Barack Obama became president. They secretly reopened the case against me. I was indicted and charged with 5 felonies, including 3 counts of espionage for giving this interview. Remember, espionage can be a death penalty charge. I had 3 of them. Well, I hadn't committed espionage, and finally they dropped those charges, but I ended up taking a plea to a lesser charge just to make this thing go away. I had 5 kids at home, I had gone bankrupt from the legal expenses, and I was facing 45 years in prison. They offered me 23 months, and I took the deal. But I would do it again today if I had to, because somebody had to stand up and say that this was wrong. Shouldn't torture be legal if we are protecting American lives? Absolutely not. Not under any circumstances. Torture doesn't work. Torture is illegal.
That's exactly it. I've been saying this, I've been saying this. Torture doesn't work. If someone, like, if the government, let's say you're the government and you kidnap a person, and you're like, tell us, or we'll beat the shit out of you, or we'll do this, or we'll do that, and they don't give the information to you, they say, well, I'll never give the information to you. Torturing them actually does not work. It does not work. It's never worked. And, like...
legal internationally.
It doesn't work.
It is immoral. And you end up making a recruitment video, essentially, for your greatest enemies. For example, when it became apparent that the U.S. was torturing military prisoners at Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, and video was leaked showing those prisoners in orange jumpsuits, ISIS bought orange jumpsuits and made its kidnapping victims, who were mostly aid workers and American journalists, wear orange jumpsuits and then beheaded them on camera. They did that only because the U.S. was torturing its prisoners. So torture does not work. Torture is illegal, it is immoral, it is unethical, and no one should be in the business of doing it. What's the most dangerous country in the world right now? Also a good question. There are several. And I've been to all of them. I never got to go to the nice places. I went to 72 countries with the C.
Holy shit! That's a little bit less than how many countries that my dad has been to. That's insane. And if long-time viewers know, my dad has been to, like, more than 85 countries. That is insane.
C.I.A. and almost all of them were just awful. Some of the most dangerous places in the world are Yemen, Somalia, Gaza, Afghanistan, parts of Pakistan. You have to sleep with one eye open. You just never know how bad things are going to get. And I'll give you an example. I went to Yemen 5 times, and every time I went, it was worse than the previous time. The 5th and final time that I went, we were only allowed to stay at one hotel. The hotel had a 30-foot high wall around it to protect it from bomb blasts. You couldn't stay in any of the other hotels by then. Well, the day after I arrived, a group of South Korean diplomats arrived. And on the drive from the airport to the hotel, they were ambushed and they were all killed, 6 of them. A couple of days later, a group of South Korean intelligence officers arrived to investigate the murder of the 6 diplomats. And they were ambushed and they were murdered.
Oh my God.
And so the South Koreans just closed their embassy and went home. That's a pretty dangerous country. What do you make of U.S. foreign policy right now? A complete and utter disaster.
Facts.
I've never seen an
I can
administration.
just tell every single member of the CIA is just like, every single dead member, every single alive member is just rolling in their graves, rolling in their beds. They are, like, they're listening to Trump do his shit, and it's like how the CIA, because the CIA is all, like, very, very smart people, are just looking at him and like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Making the worst possible decisions for a country I think I've ever seen.
That works so hard to offend and alienate our friends. Threatening to invade Canada? That's an act of war. Canada is not just a NATO country, but it's a Five Eyes country. Five Eyes being the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, the closest alliance in the entire world. And what, we're gonna send an army to Canada and overthrow them? It doesn't make any sense. Even if you're joking, why would you even joke like that out loud? We don't coordinate with our European allies. We're threatening to invade Panama, to take the Panama Canal. We're threatening to invade and annex Greenland. It's craziness. So I'm not a big supporter of U.S. foreign policy right now. Does China actually pose a real risk to the West? I think no. And I'll tell you why.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you for telling me this. It's not a risk. It's just another big country. It's just another big country. America has freaked the fuck out about any other big country that could rival them potentially if they invaded. They're not going to invade because why would they? Like, why would they? America's a war-based economy. No one wants to invade America because why wouldn't they just get as big as America and they'd have the same resources as them? And even invading them doesn't give them more resources because America's a war-based economy. So all the resources are in other countries. So why would you invade America?
China simply does not have a history of expansionism.
Facts.
If you put aside Tibet, which the Chinese have always claimed to be a part of China, the Chinese have never invaded another country. They had a little border skirmish with the Vietnamese in the 1970s. They had a little border skirmish against India in the 1960s. But they don't invade countries. And they have only one military base outside of China. It's in Djibouti, and believe it or not, they share it with the United States. It's the U.S. that sees China as the big threat. And Australia and the Philippines kind of see China as a threat. But the Chinese...
But that's more fair, just because, like... Yeah, that's a little bit fair, because they're so close to them. I don't think they fear them as a threat. They fear them as, like, an economic superpower that can maybe, like... They're not going to kill them, but they're going to, like... economically take over.
These are perplexed as to why we so distrust them. Is there a threat from China to Taiwan? Of course there is. Taiwan is also seen by the Chinese as being a legitimate part of China, but there's no indication that the Chinese are preparing any offensive measures against Taiwan. I just don't see what the big threat is. Is the CIA or MI6 more elite? MI6
James Bond is part of the MI6.
is an absolutely top-tier, first-rate service, but it's like comparing apples and oranges. At the CIA, we used to say how much we wished we could be like MI6, because MI6 is small and it's lean, and when they decide to do something, by God, they go out and do it. At the CIA, when we decide to do something, we have 6 layers of bureaucracy that we have to go through.
That is so real.
To finally get permission. And then the attorneys get involved, and then you have to send it to the president, and then he has to sign it, or change it, or reject it, or do whatever it is he has to do. They don't have that kind of a problem at MI6. They just report directly to the prime minister, and they can get things done. The CIA has a budget that absolutely dwarfs the MI6 budget, and we have our own, high-level technology budget, satellites, and spies.
Yeah, like, that's the thing with MI6, though, is because they're a high-tier service, but also, like, CIA does also count as part of America's defense budget, but MI6 is also, like, it's small and lean, so it needs a smaller and leaner defense budget, and CIA is bigger, and it needs, like, obviously more funding, but like MI6, I feel like is more like a task force. So it's like, yeah, it's like comparing apples and oranges. So they still get the same amount of budget per capita or per person, I would say, because there's a lot less people in MI6.
Planes and all kinds of crazy things. So they're both great services, but they're different at the same time. Are sleeper agents real? Yes, they are. And the country that is the best at using sleeper agents is Russia. The United States doesn't have a program of sleeper agents, and I'm frankly...
So a sleeper agent is like basically a chip that they can put in like your... Actually, I don't really know. Let's hear him explain it.
I'm unaware of any Western intelligence service that has sleeper agents or that uses sleeper agents. The Russians have an army of sleeper agents. In fact, just in the last 2 or 3 years, a group of Russian sleeper agents in Northern Virginia, including one in my neighborhood, were disrupted and arrested. So what a sleeper agent is somebody who is trained as an intelligence officer, who is then sent to the United States or the UK or Brazil or Paris or wherever, and told to just get a job, any job, and be a national of that country. And so you've got people who In the case of what happened in Washington recently, one was an elementary school teacher, and one worked for an airline. Everybody thought they were Americans, and in fact, they're collecting classified information, mostly from U.S. defense contractors, and secretly transmitting it back to Russian intelligence in the evenings. They were disrupted and expelled from the United States. Is chief of disguise a real job? You bet it is. They have
sick.
the most fun.
I was just gonna say, I would love to have that job. That would sound so much fun. You could like deck people out, cool fits, you know? You get them all like decked out. I just realized I'm the sickest lights I think any of you guys have ever seen. 1 second. I'll show you guys. Look at my lights. I don't know if you guys can see. Look at the lights. I have cool lights. I just put them up.
In the world. On the day that I got hired, I was sitting with 2 other brand new officers, and I sat down. I said, "Hi, my name's John. It's nice to meet you both." They said, "What are you going to do here at the agency?" I said, "I'm going to be an intelligence officer. I have degrees in Middle Eastern studies. What are you guys going to do?" The woman said to me, "Oh, I just graduated from the Falls Church, Virginia Academy of Beauty." Academy of Beauty. She ended up becoming a master disguise maker. And the guy on my left was a cartoonist for his college newspaper. He drew a little cartoon that was very popular. He became a master forger. So it doesn't really matter what your background is. If you're good at it, there's a place for you at the CIA. And many of those places...
That is actually hilarious. That is wild. Wow.
...are working for the director of disguise. What made you decide to blow the whistle? It's very brave. Thank you. You know, at the CIA...
Could you imagine being this guy, though? You're in a neighborhood, you're probably you're well off, you're like... And every single time you see someone in a suit, you panic. Every time... No, not even in a suit, but, like, anybody you see in any sort of, like, situation at all would scare the shit out of you. It's actually... You would get paranoid at a point. You would get very paranoid. Like imagine just I'm just chilling in my house right now. At any time, if like let's just say this guy's like chilling in his house watching TV with his kids. At any time, he could hear a knock on his door and he's dead. And you have to live with that, and you have to know that you're a whistleblower and you spent 23 months in prison, and you just have to live with that. I'm looking around because I'm fucking paranoid watching this.
We are trained to believe that everything in life is a shade of gray. And that is just simply not true. Some things are black and white. They're right or wrong. And the United States has laws that ban torture. We have the Federal Torture Act of 1946. We are not just signatories to the United Nations Convention Against Torture. We wrote the United Nations Convention Against Torture. In 1946, the United States executed Japanese soldiers who waterboarded American POWs. In 1968, an American soldier waterboarded a North Vietnamese prisoner and was given 20 years at hard labor in a military prison after being convicted of torture. The law never changed. So how is it then that from 2002 to 2005, torture was somehow magically legal? It wasn't legal. We were committing crimes against humanity. And so it was something that I having known the details, I couldn't sleep at night. And I believed, and in retrospect, I was right, that the American people had a right to know what their government was doing in their name. And I'm proud to say that because of my revelations, the McCain-Feinstein Amendment was passed into law, and it formally and permanently banned torture.
Good for him. What a W vid. God damn, that guy is a Chadwick Boseman. Holy shit. Wow.